Good afternoon. This is the word for 7/16/2013. I'm Jakob Music, and here are some headlines. American R&B singer K. Michelle has unveiled the cover for her debut album entitled Rebellious Soul. The cover features the artist in a sultry scene with roses, peacock feathers, and candles. The album will be released on August 13th. VSOP, the first single from the album, was released on May 20th. Adult film star and rapper Brooke Candy will feature on Kylie Minogue's new single. The name of the song has not yet been released. This project will be Minogue's first since signing with Jay-Z's label Roc Nation. TMZ is reporting that deceased Glee star Corey Monteith was leading what they term a double life while in Vancouver. Mr. Monteith was partying and abusing substances very heavily while not filming. The report goes on to say that castmates spent a lot of time keeping him clean and sober. TMZ also released the last known photo of the star. Mr. Monteith was found dead earlier this week. Lindsay Lohan is back in New York City. The beleaguered actress recently completed talks to star in a reality show broadcasted on the Oprah Winfrey Network. Miss Lohan reportedly told friends she desired to move back to New York City because there existed less temptations than in LA. The friends of Leah Remini, who has recently defected from Scientology, have been told to cut ties with the King of Queens actress. Members of the religious sect have also been told to remove her and her family from their Facebook pages. Scientology has allegedly set up a website that trashes the journalist who broke the story originally. Amanda Bynes has been offered a $200,000 advance in anticipation of her debut hip-hop record. The actress has also boasted that she could make better music than Drake, who she once implored to murder her vagina, before reversing her position, so to speak, calling him ugly. In a new article, a website called Newser.com has revealed that Kelly Clarkson, Halle Berry, and Sylvester Stallone have all at one point experienced homelessness. For most of these cases, homelessness was a byproduct of the search for acting work in LA, as recent transplants to the city. Those were your word headlines for 7/16/2013. We'll be back with a smattering of interesting topics and a panel. See you on the other side. Okay, we're back, everyone. This is the word for 7/16/2013. So I have two panelists today. I have Anikka from Florida. How are you?
Well, thank you.
It's so nice to talk to you after so long. And we have my lovely sister Sara. How are you?
I'm doing great.
So we have some interesting things to talk about today. The first of which is Rush Limbaugh. What do you guys think of Rush Limbaugh?
He is much different in person than he is on his show. I agree with half of what he says, and I disagree with half of what he says. I think if you can boil down all the BS and all of his, narcissistic blowharding, he's actually pretty smart.
He's really like a performance artist.
Exactly.
We were playing Apples to Apples once. Do you know that game?
Oh, I haven't played that in years.
Oh, it's so fun, isn't it? So me and Sarah and some other people were playing Apples to Apples, and she got the card Rush Limbaugh.
Because I thought it was a Jewish holiday.
She thought it was a Jewish holiday.
Rosh Hashanah? Oh, yeah.
Obviously not. But the reason I bring up Rush Limbaugh...
Not even close. The High Holy Day versus a political media blowhard.
Yeah.
Some people jump on him because he's a pillhead.
Yeah, and you know what? That is not...
into the OxyContin and went to rehab.
And that's not a... I don't think that is a but that's not a substantive critique of him. Like, like on the show... I recorded 2 days ago, we were talking about Ann Coulter, and Elizabeth brought up her Adam's apple, which a lot of liberals do. That's not nothing substantive. So I think that's inappropriate to bring up his pills. So let's take a look at something that he did specifically say. So on his show, I think this was this morning, first he said, "Stick with me, keep your eyes on the radio." And in my experience, if you stare at a radio, it doesn't do anything. But anyway, so then he goes on to talk about CNN and Piers Morgan's interview with Rachel Gentile. And basically what he concludes from that is that because, she was using the words like cracker and nigger so cavalierly, that it's now okay for white people to say that word. What do you guys think about that?
Did he say it's okay, or did he say there might be a perception of?
He said, quote, listen, he said, quote, I can now. Oh my God.
Hang on, there's a knock on my door. Hang on. He's saying what he feels comfortable doing based on. First of all we know about the case is what the media has told us. We are not privy to the courthouse, we are not privy to the evidence, and we are not privy to judges' instructions and deliberation.
Correct.
So all we know is what we think we know. And everyone's saying, well, if he hadn't been white, if he hadn't been black. He's half Peruvian, half white. He's, wrong place, wrong time. We don't know exactly what's there.
Yes.
The only people that knew what they're there is George Zimmerman and Trayvon Martin. I guarantee you there's 100, 1,000 cases in any given day just like that. But they chose to home in on that one. There is no one that's pure white anymore. What is the definition of that?
Well, the definition of white over the past 150 years has expanded. But I will ask Sarah, why do you think, so listening to what Anikka said, there are killings like this every day, especially of black teenagers. So do you think there was a reason why the media focused on this one?
Because it was an older white man. Nowadays, people can pull the black card whenever they want on us. On white people. Does that make sense?
And everybody can pull a card. It doesn't. Whatever race you are, pick it. You can pull a card.
Okay,
but I've been pulled the black card many times. People go, "I'm black. Do you not like me because I'm black?"
Okay, but what do you mean by that? So people have said that to you?
Yeah, they're like, "Wow, you're so racist," and I was like, "For saying what?" And they're like, they pull the black card. They pull the black card all the time. So all these people are going against George Zimmerman because he was an older white man and he got accused. He obviously killed this boy, but But can you see that there's a reason why they're identifying with him? Because they see his experience. They find a kindred. Basically, they can see through his eyes a little bit easier because of what they've experienced in their lives. Who, black people?
Yes.
Well, and we have to understand, if that quote was what he said, okay, what he was talking, Piers Morgan, I was just looking at the article. Piers Morgan was talking to Trayvon's friend.
Yes.
And she's the one who said that saying nigger with an A is not racist, but nigger with an R is racist.
Yes.
Yes, that is because it's a racial slur.
I'm sorry, there's no difference. I have been called a Jewish kike by a church person in a church, in a church structure.
Yeah. So do you guys dismiss claims of racial bias in this case?
I think there's no way to dismiss it or understand it because we weren't there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We only know what we were told by third parties.
So it's just kind of conjecture.
Yeah.
I know. I was seeing video from the courtroom, though.
Okay, so that was the case of the century. Now this is the case of the century. And next week there'll be another case of the century.
I don't think it is the case of the century, but I think it's important.
Some people have said that down here.
This case is attracting so much attention because it's not creating any issues. All that it's doing is it's allowing a further battlefield, in a sense, for these racial tensions that existed previously.
See, my problem with this is this was a case of guilt or innocence. You have to prove, no matter what you believe, what is proven by the facts and evidence of the case.
Mm-hmm.
You're on the 99% chance of a doubt. In other words, no doubt whatsoever that he did it.
Yeah.
If there's doubt, he has to get off. So, great, he's off. Now what happens? Now the family can file a civil case, which you only have to prove is 51% chance.
Yes,
that
correct.
he did it.
Yes.
Of a wrongful death, and that's where the money comes. This is if the man going to spend the rest of his life in jail or not. That's it. Look look at Casey Anthony and that whole thing.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot more evidence in her case, and she got off. And again, Zimmerman wasn't white. He was half Latino,
Correct.
half white. Nobody is talking about that anywhere outside of Florida.
He's half Mexican?
No, he's half
He's
Latino.
half Peruvian.
Really?
I studied criminal justice for a while, and what they do is they give you something that is called a symbolic assailant.
Mm-hmm.
Where just like you look at someone and you instantly classify them as white, black, male, female, you start getting, and if you all do this and don't realize it, we do this subconsciously without even thinking, and that's exactly what, by not knowing, people did in this case.
Yeah.
Symbolic assailant. You see this young black guy, instantly, there's your assailant. Because that's what we've been trained to believe.
Okay, so how would you two... I understand what you're saying about this. I don't know if I completely agree about the black card thing. But what would you say to African-American people who would come to you and say, well, white people just don't understand the legacy of racism. You have not experienced and gone through what we have gone through. What would you say to them?
What I would say to that is, yes, we have not gone through your type of racism. But every individual person has an individual story. People look at me and see a white woman walking down the street. I'm not. I'm half Asian.
Yeah.
Here I was, a white woman in Colombia, being called a Jew bitch kike.
Yeah.
In Colombia.
Yeah.
So you don't know someone's experience until you've experienced it.
That's true.
I mean, we're all going to generalize because that's what human nature is.
Yeah, sure, but we shouldn't make
What
decisions.
we need to do is keep our minds open
Yes.
to the individual.
And we shouldn't judge based on these generalizations. But we need to move on. So we're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back and talk about someone who's really smart. Chris Brown. Okay, we'll see you on the other side, guys. Okay, we're back. So we're talking about Chris Brown. So what do you guys think about Chris Brown?
I don't like... Yeah, go ahead.
I don't like his music.
That's not what I asked.
I like his music, I don't like him.
I thought before we were filming, you said you don't like his music.
I said I like his music.
Oh.
You said you didn't like his music.
No.
You said you only liked one song.
Okay, whatever. So what were you saying? Sorry.
I mean, I don't like his music. I don't know anything about him except the headline that Jeff's girlfriend is now back with him.
Yeah,
But if she forgave him, how are we to say otherwise?
But I think there's such a thing. Well, because we can, and a lot of people, from the outside can view this and say, well, she is an abused woman caught up in this relationship that is extremely unhealthy, and we have a perspective that she may not. Now, that's not to say that we can't respect Rihanna's decision. We can or we can't.
We
but
weren't there in the limo.
well, we weren't there in the limo, but we saw the picture. She was. I mean, speaking for me, physical violence is not okay.
We don't know. That's my point.
Well, okay, we don't know. But I don't think that's reason to beat up somebody the way that he did.
You say beat up. Maybe he pushed her away from him and she hit her head on the door handle.
She had a black eye. Let's use our brains here. Do you really think that's what happened? Is she happened to fall onto something?
I think it got out of control if we don't know.
But there is now the possibility that he will be imprisoned because a judge, this is an article from ThatGrapeJuice, the judge is considering revoking his probation following an alleged hit and run. So this probation was put in place after the 2009 assault on Rihanna, but back in May, he was involved in an alleged hit and run in the city of L.A. So the district attorney is seeking to revoke the 5-year-long probation that had initially been put on because he fled the scene after this hit and run.
And that's perfectly acceptable in that case, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, probation means you have to be a good little boy.
Yeah.
And no matter, if that's jaywalking or that's, murder, it doesn't matter. Probation is probation.
Yeah, and so he could face 4 years in prison. I just think he's a very trashy person. I have very little respect for him. Because I also think, it's true, like we can't, we weren't in that limo, but we can we can deduce from other behavior we've seen from him, his outbursts on television shows. He obviously has anger issues, and I believe that it's more than believable that he did beat up Rihanna with rage.
Probably, but again, we don't know. And I know you say, but the perspective of, well, she was an abused woman and we need to help. She did get out of it. They were separate for over a year, I believe.
Yeah.
But she did get out of it, and she chose to go back in. Now, it's not that, I could see an abused woman who's still in it, and yes, we need to protect her, but she was out of it. I think she made an informed decision. And it's not like she didn't have resources. She had more money than all of us.
That's true.
She had plenty of resources.
But here's the question. Is a person in an abused relationship, do they have access to their full agency, to their full mind to make decisions? Even if she's away from him for a year, I mean, the same thinking mechanics would still be going on, right?
I have been abused. I was in an abusive relationship for 7 years.
Yeah.
A physical and emotionally abusive relationship. I knew I needed to get out. I didn't get out. I kept going back for more and more and more.
Yes. Yes.
Speaking as someone, once I did get out, would I get back into that? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I know that the first person who ever raises a hand to me again, no matter who they are or what relationship they are to me, the first person that ever strikes me again will either be dead by my own hand or will go to jail for the rest of their life.
You know what? I have to say I agree with you. So why would Rihanna go back?
Because she loves him.
I think because she loves him, and I think because maybe whatever happened in that limo, she realized she had a part in it. I will admit, in a couple of the instances, more than a couple, where I was physically abused, that I wouldn't say deserve it. There were other ways to handle it, absolutely. But I definitely did not help things. I goaded him and goaded him and goaded him and goaded him, pushing trigger points that I knew would create tension and create.
And that's the mechanics of a.
I poured that gasoline onto the fire.
But that's the mechanics of a. But that's the mechanics of a codependent relationship. But of course, I have to point out, just because you goad someone does not give them the right to beat the shit out of you.
Absolutely. But what I'm saying is, it might have been a highly enraged situation. They each got out of hand, felt bad about it. After having a year's time in distance, that's enough time for, especially someone like her, that she could have easily found a new boyfriend, whatever. I really think that between the two of them, something happened and we don't know.
Yeah, and I think that's perfectly valid. And so really, thank you for sharing your experience. What message, because you've been through it, so what warning or what message would you give to young women who are in your situation?
You can get out. It's hard as hell. You want to kill yourself sometimes. It's hard as hell, but you can get out. You have to do it one day at a time.
Yes. Yeah, and how to avoid getting into, what are the signs, in your opinion, to look for someone who could become an abuser?
I honestly don't think there are signs to look for. I think,
really?
I really don't. I think any particular person can have the potential for abuse. I mean, we're all animals by nature. It's a matter of control. Can we control ourselves?
Yeah, but Sarah, I disagree with you there, because Sarah was saying something about if it can happen with anyone because you push somebody's buttons, but no, because if you
too far.
But if you push person A's buttons, they're not going to become abusive. Not everyone is going to become abusive.
No, it depends on how well they can handle it.
And those are people you need to avoid in life. All the negative bullshit from your life.
Just somebody with low self-control.
That's what I think.
Exactly. I explode and I blow up and I say and do things I regret. We all do.
Yeah, but I don't think that you have the potential to become abusive.
How we do it. Oh, I can be emotionally abusive. Absolutely.
Huh. So let's talk about Lindsay Lohan. Guys, I'm a big fan of Lindsay Lohan.
Your favorite person.
My favorite person.
Oh my God.
And, well, by the way, I saw my other favorite person. Okay, we talk about Tara Reid. No, Tara Reid.
Tara Reid.
I know you're not a fan, but guess what? I saw Tara Reid on Bloomberg, of all things, today. Yeah, she was promoting her low-budget shark film. Sharknado, which is like the shark tornado.
Oh, like shark zippers.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Tara Reid is in that. So, but that's not the point. So Lindsay Lohan, my girl, is moving on up in the world. She's out of rehab, and the Oprah Winfrey Network has offered her $2 million to star in an 8-part reality series. So they've been negotiating for 4 months, and the series would detail her struggles, her career, and her plans for the future.
Who fucking who? Who would have to get $1 million for my little reality series, or for me to fuck some guy because I have a big chest and have a sex tape and my whole family make $1 gazillion?
I don't think Lindsay Lohan has a sex
People
tape.
need to get live.
She does?
Reality series on her.
Wait, Lindsay Lohan does not have a sex tape.
No, Kardashian. I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think she does, actually.
No. I disagree,
sure?
Sarah. Who's her sex tape with?
I don't know. But this is the most absurd thing I've ever heard in my life.
Why?
I'm sure she'll come out with one with doesn't get $2 million for being out of rehab. Give her 5 years.
It's her party.
In the spotlight, she'll do anything.
The tape will be titled Lindsay's Post-Rehab Party.
Who wants to watch Lindsay Lohan's boring, pathetic life?
I don't think she's boring and pathetic, and I would watch it.
Yep. See, and that's the point. People like you get this money. Wouldn't you rather give that $2 million go to a charity?
Yes, but I'm not in.
Why would you want to watch Lindsay Lohan?
But I'm not in control of that money.
$2 million up the nose of Lindsay Lohan.
But I'm not. And it is going probably up the nose. But I'm not in control of that money.
You are in control of it. If people like you and everybody else who watches her stop,
Oh my God.
then she doesn't get the money.
Why would you watch
That's
her?
the point.
I'm not.
See,
No,
that's
I
the point.
disagree.
If we stop watching, if we stop paying attention to these morons,
I don't think she's a
then we
moron. I
can
think she's an
find women who
addict.
actually look at the news, you know.
Sarah watches the Kardashians, so it's not just me.
But that's different.
It's not different.
They're not.
They are just as
That's a guilty
trashy.
pleasure.
They're trashy.
Okay, would you rather watch Lindsay Lohan
Kim Kardashian
or the
is
Kardashians?
famous. Okay, Lindsay
I
Lohan
have
is.
to admit, I'd rather do Lohan than Kardashian.
Listen,
Sorry, Sarah.
listen to me. Okay, Lindsay
Oh.
Lohan, stop. Lindsay Lohan is famous because she was originally an actress. Kim Kardashian is famous because of her sex tape.
I agree. That's why I would.
But I don't like Kim. I don't watch it for
Come
Kim.
on, but you're watching the Kardashian show.
So it doesn't matter. I don't watch it for Kim.
You're in control of the money, Sarah.
Where family money comes from?
Yeah, Sarah.
Okay.
I don't have one of those little boxes on my screen to control and tell the world how many views I watch this.
Sarah, just because you don't have a Nelson box doesn't mean you're not wholly responsible for Kim Kardashian's fame.
That is not what I'm saying at all.
The thing is, I think what Anikka is trying to say is that we play a part because we are in the audience, and I accept that, but I only accept my role as one person. And you know what?
It stops.
You can't stop 3 billion people.
That's the market, though. It's not like we can just stop. You know, I mean, it is going to do what it's going to.
Fantastic scripted TV shows out.
Okay, but that is your idea of fantastic. Not everyone is looking for the same type of entertainment. You know, there's a different.
Well, I don't know. I think that and what happens is people want to become more like me. I'm pregnant. That's what's going to come. 15 is pregnant. 12 is pregnant. I mean, if I'm, a kid's not so bright. Like, wait a minute. I want to be on that MTV show. Well, if I get pregnant, I'll just be damn. Honey Boo Boo's sister did that.
Pumpkin?
Pumpkin? That's her name?
And it gets younger, and we're breeding stupider and stupider
Okay,
people.
but I have to say, me and you have watched Honey Boo Boo.
I know, and I watch you.
What an excuse!
Honey Boo Boo is very
I don't
funny.
watch it.
I know about Honey Boo Boo.
Okay, you
All
guys.
I know is the soup.
The Soup. Yeah, and I've heard about her for the first time from The Soup. But I understand your point that, for example, me and Sarah play parts in the audience, but at the end of the day, we're not in control of it personally, and the market in this country decides what entertainment products are successful and continue.
But is the market.
All of us.
Consumer. You're a consumer.
But we're
That's
2
what I'm
out
saying.
of 3 billion
Consumers
people who watch the show.
The market disappears.
The market never disappears in the United States.
This Kardashian family has had enough money. They've had enough time. Let's go on to the next thing.
But that's trying to put values. That's not going to happen artificially. That will only happen organically when when the demand naturally dries up.
And your friends stop talking about it, and their friends stop talking about it. That's how it goes away. You can't sit by change. Just doesn't happen. You have to affect it.
But see, I don't know, because we're talking about a TV show. I don't think it's very consequential. I mean, I see what you're saying, but I don't think Yeah, I see what you're saying, but I don't think that an anti-Kim Kardashian campaign is going to grow into anything larger. So obviously you two are not going to be watching this show, I presume. But yeah, so Lindsay Lohan, going on a little bit more, Lindsay Lohan actually signed this deal while she was in rehab. And Oprah gave her some extra perks, such as 2 fully paid assistants and a stylist. So, good job, Lindsay.
Why can't Oprah give me some money?
Well, you're not Lindsay Lohan, so you better start working on getting that Lindsay Lohan life.
I can have a drug problem. Give me some money, I'll invent any kind of problem you want. I'll be the crazy dog lady instead of the crazy cat lady.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Join hoarders. So we're going to take another break, and then we'll come back and talk about Elliot Spitzer, okay? Bye-bye. See you on the other side. Okay, we're back. And I have an article from Fox Business. And this is about Elliot Spitzer. And so he's not in the news about more prostitutes, but he is running for New York comptroller, and that's not the real news. The real news is the former chief executive of the bank AIG, which, if you recall, fabulously collapsed in 2008. He has sued Elliot Spitzer because he claims that Elliot Spitzer allegedly made defamatory remarks against his character. So if we remember, Spitzer resigned as New York governor in 2008 amid that prostitution scandal. But this guy from AIG is saying Spitzer was making false statements about Greenberg's, this banker's, role in the near collapse of the insurance giant. Spitzer told a reporter that Greenberg could not avoid the simple reality that he was running a crooked company. The suit goes on to mention Spitzer's television appearances and private conversations in which Spitzer makes remarks suggesting that AIG was corrupt. AIG nearly toppled and was bailed out by the U.S. government 3 years after this guy Greenberg left. So I think this is a little bit ridiculous, because I think it's plain to anybody who looks just at this situation that AIG, and it wasn't just AIG, but many other banks were a mess. They were obviously being run as corrupt agencies, and agencies that have no regard for the consequences of their actions. So I don't think that this lawsuit, I mean, this is what tons of people have been saying for years. I don't think this lawsuit is valid.
These are money people looking for more money. And you gotta love New York. Wiener, Spitzer,
Yeah, and that's what AIG, along with many other banks, did when it accepted and, petitioned for the bailout.
Yeah, and think about it. If you have a company and you lose money, are you going to get a bailout? No, you're going to file bankruptcy, be screwed, and whatever.
Correct.
But these big, giant money-making companies, like the car companies that make an inferior product, get bailed out.
Yeah.
The whole money system is screwed in this country.
Yeah, it's true. And I almost feel like it is my belief that the economic crisis and the crash and the collapse of many of these banks was the inevitable conclusion of this activity. I think that it was necessary and it did need to happen as a correction. Not that it was a positive thing, I'm not saying that, but what else could have happened? And so, of course, because they could not control themselves as institutions, they, went and asked for the government's help.
We are so in debt up to our ears. We are never going to get out of it.
Yeah, but let's go back to what you just said. Do you think, as a nation, we will ever get out of debt?
No.
Sarah?
I don't think it's possible.
No? You can't foresee it?
Absolutely not.
Unless we find some...
Not with Obama in...
Well, Obama's not going to be president forever.
I know, but for the next 3 years he will be.
Nowhere else in the world is necessary for life. It's not going to happen.
I would say that we, as a government and as a people, we don't owe anything to AIG. or those banks. And I think I think they've been acting very arrogantly since this crash, and then acting as if they are like the anointed people in our society who, as soon as their risky behavior catches up with them, they have, the American people have an obligation to foot their bailout bill. I think that's wrong, and I think that the bailout, it really was the largest transfer of wealth upward in our society ever. From our money as taxpayers.
The little guy who saves and scrimps and puts every penny into a savings account and loses it.
That's sad. But the banker class of our society, people like Hank Greenberg, AIG, whatever, Merrill Lynch, Bank of America, they act like as if they act with impunity. And, I was so naive back in the day when this crash happened because I said, oh my God, they've hurt so many people. What their actions and their conduct has caused the loss and the pain of so many millions of individuals in this country. Of course they're going to change. I thought that the society would force them to change, but nothing has changed.
No, and see, that's the thing. Most people know more about George Zimmerman. I guarantee you that the names George Zimmerman and Trayvon Martin are more familiar to ears in this country, to the average Joe Blow's ears, than Elliot Spitzer.
And I don't think that should be the case. Considering that he was an elected official, that's bizarre. And you're right.
I bet I could go on the street right now, five people and say, who's Elliot Spitzer, and they don't know.
Seriously?
I guarantee it. Yes.
But you know what? Of course, if you said Lindsay Lohan, they would know.
Yes, Lindsay Lohan, they would know.
Yeah.
People, that's the thing. The AIG scandal, most of these people wouldn't even know necessarily who AIG was.
Do you know how sad that is? Because of how
what they did.
Yeah,
but
how
they know who. Yeah.
How consequential banks like AIG have been in their lives as an American citizen in the past decade.
But how many lives did these guys really take? How many people committed suicide?
Exactly.
Exactly.
And how many people lost their houses? How many people lost their savings and fortunes? How many people, everything. I mean, why do you think it is that, like just what Anikka was saying, why do you think it is that people, for example, don't know who Elliot Spitzer is, but know who Trayvon Martin is, or know who Lindsay Lohan is? What is the reason, Sarah?
It's publicized more.
On the news.
Media.
On the media. But why
I have no idea who Spitzer is, to be honest with you.
Well, so you're case in point, but why do you think the media selects one over the other?
Because it's interesting.
And so you would watch one but not the other?
Yes. Entertainment value.
Yeah, entertainment value.
It's entertaining to talk about banking. I will never understand for the life of me how any of these Celebutards drink and drive.
Celebutards?
When they can afford a driver. They're all toxic.
Yeah.
For the life of me, I think they should be locked up with the key thrown away after the first drunk driving incident. When you've got $1 million in the bank, there is no excuse not to take a goddamn cab.
I know, and it's just it's a different world. It really is,
Exactly, and that's why, and that's partially, I think, why we're so drawn to that is it is a different world, and it's a world 99% of the
and that's a really interesting thing. I mean, because it's like we have this window into a different class, really, that most people will never be able to reach.
Okay. Socioeconomic class.
Yeah, I'm not saying she has class or Kim Kardashian has class, but celebrity class is existent,
and it makes me sick. And you mentioned about that actor who died, Corey Monteith, however you pronounce his
Correct.
last name.
Yes.
I don't feel sorry for him or Lindsay Lohan or any of these other addicts.
But don't you feel sorry for them as people?
No, not in the slightest. Let's say he died getting high, being happy. I feel sorry for the friends and family left behind or hurt or shattered in the wake of their choices.
Yeah, well, what would you say? Yeah. Well, but it's not like a lot of times the experience of being an addict is not having fun at all.
It's your mentally.
No, I understand that too. But
at first it's fun.
Done rehab and back and done rehab and back. But, the parents, the grandparents, the wives, the siblings, those are the people who really get hurt.
Yeah, and you know what? I can understand that argument because they're the ones who are there to deal with the aftermath.
Right, and while they're getting high, they're probably having a good time.
Sometimes at first an addict, it's like, oh wow, I'm cool, this is fun, and then once it gets to a certain point in their addiction, they can't help it. It's a chemical in their brain, and they can't stop. They need it.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's almost like sort of you're partying and having fun, but it's also like hell at the same time. So you're not really having fun.
No, I get that, but you know, I do get all that, and but it's the family, you know, it's the people whose lives are shattered, especially the ones that die of ODs. The people whose lives are shattered.
So you don't. So for like Corey Monteith, you know, all of them, you don't have sympathy.
But Leah Michelle.
Yeah.
And her career, and you know what she's got to be going through, and his mother, and you know.
Yeah.
Any, you know, family that has been hurt by all this.
Yeah.
And he had, like, the thing that with him is he was a high school dropout, you know, got a shot to fame, whatever, the 30-something-year-old playing a teenager, which I never understood. He didn't look like a teenager.
I thought he looked like a teenager.
I thought he looked like a teenager.
Multiple shots at rehab, setting around the world, you know?
Yeah.
And to throw it away.
I mean, it's sad, and that goes to the question, you know, there is an argument that addicts are not like normal people.
They aren't.
That they don't necessarily have as much of a choice as non-addicts do.
Well, there is such a thing as an addictive personality, where
Correct.
you can become addicted to eating, or you can become addicted, you know, gambling, alcohol, whatever.
Yeah.
There absolutely is something like that, but if you've gotten help multiple times, you know, by the second or third time, and you realize, oh, wait a minute, I'm an addict, I'm getting help. Once you've gotten that help and you're clean, you know, you got to keep it that way.
But that's one of the hardest things in the world.
It's very hard, but, you know, it's like the intervention thing. If you're a friend and family and you see this happening and they keep going back to it, you just need to cut them off.
Yeah.
And maybe if they're cut off, they can, you know, every day, either if the meeting thing works for you, do the meeting, you know, stay away from that substance, stay away from toxic people that, you know, have that substance around them, do whatever you have to.
You know, addiction is I just think addiction is one of the saddest realities of our world. It's so sad.
It is, and I'd rather see more things like on TV.
I know that was about Elliot Spitzer, and it somehow became about Glee.
Addiction.
But
An addiction.
That's an addiction too. A money addict.
The prostitutes, yeah.
Greedy people that are addicted to
greedy
more.
people. Oh, yeah, absolutely it is. And I think that's,
I guess, where I was going with that.
Yeah, and I think the banker class of people, again, I'm using that socioeconomically, I think that they are addicted to a certain lifestyle that they've either been born into or they have gotten used to. And so they're just dealing with the consequences of their addiction and their actions. And the thing is, unfortunately, you know, in terms of the bankers, the fallout from their addictive behavior is 300 times greater than somebody like Corey or Lindsay. And it affects the entire society.
And that all leads back to people know more about who Corey and Lindsay and Kim and those people are than who Spitzer and AIG and the bailout and any of that are.
Yeah.
That's, you know, it all leads back into itself.
Yeah, it does. Okay, well, coming up, we're going to talk about one more time about Trayvon Martin and something that happened.
No, you weren't supposed to post your, state on.
Oh, my God, whatever. Okay, coming up, we're going to be talking about something that happened in Baltimore, which I guess is a faraway city. I have no idea where that is. So we're going to be talking about that coming up, okay? And we're back. So I have this article from the right-wing blog Breitbart, and it's about this, it's a report that someone from Baltimore witnessed a group of black teenagers beating up a Hispanic man, and they were yelling, "This is for Trayvon." Police are now investigating this witness's story. According to the witness, who was a real estate agent named Christina Dudley, She was walking to her car just before 9 p.m. on Sunday evening when she saw several young black men and 2 black females chasing a 37-year-old Hispanic man. They started yelling, "This is for Trayvon," bleep. And then Dudley said she and another woman told the group that they would call 911, and the group ran away. All were between the ages of 16 and 18, and one with a mohawk said to him, "What's up, bleep?" When he pulled his cell phone to his ear to call 911, the man then pulled up his shirt to expose a silver gun. The victim, the Hispanic man, then ran until he was caught and beaten, and he sustained abrasions to his arm. So everyone in the neighborhood was well aware of the situation, but my concern, the lady, the real estate agent said, my concern is that we have a very large Hispanic population, and many of them might not have internet connection and don't know what's going on. So what do you guys think about this?
What do you expect?
What do you mean, what do you expect?
Media takes the case, makes it about race, and then race explodes.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh my God, this happened."
Yeah.
What do you expect could happen?
Yeah.
That's exactly what you created.
Yeah. So you would point the finger.
You as in the media. The media created that fire. Saying whiteness, or potentially, like your sister didn't know that he was happening.
Yeah.
Obviously, these people did.
Yeah, and you know what? While I would not deny that there is a racial aspect to this case, I agree that this was a media-created national trial. You know, like you said with the addictions, you know, where your heart really breaks is for the family and the friends afterwards. Where my heart really breaks in these tragedies like this, but also the Boston bombing, is the people who are attacked afterwards in retaliation. Because if you recall, a group of Hispanic men beat up a Bangladeshi man after the Boston bombing when CNN incorrectly reported that it was a brown-skinned male. And that I think that those types of things and like the retribution that I would expect Muslim Americans to go through both after 9/11 but also after this, I find that the saddest because you're not judging the people based on who they are, and most of these people are great people, and they're being attacked, and that's just sad.
And what that ends up happening is it ends up having more people stick with, I guess, what you call their cause. People are going to stick to their racial background because it becomes us against them.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we constantly create.
And that's against the ethos of what our country should be.
You don't care. You strive to find, outside of your box.
Yeah. Yeah. But a lot of people would not, and I agree with you. I think this would exacerbate that. They would just make people become more tribalistic. Yeah. I agree with you, but I think that it would not have been a media ratings bonanza if this aspect were not.
Absolutely.
Not that I think that wasn't present, but I think that was magnified. However, there is the argument to be made that there is a long legacy of police violence or law enforcement and violence on young black youth, and that is why it fit into this narrative and was so attention-getting.
Why did they even need a neighborhood watch in the first place?
I don't even know. I think he did have a little bit of vigilante in him, because in the American spirit there is a large part of vigilanteism. We see this with Neighborhood Watch, but also the people who are called, I think they're like the Watchmen or something, and they like patrol the southern border.
That's how we started.
A lot of times this just kind of can go off the rails,
Right.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating. It's really frustrating. And true, with all this media publicity, look at how we find a jury these days. A jury of our peers. Really? Is that even possible?
Yeah.
If that was possible, then we would find half Latino, half white.
But how did the jury come to be all female? I don't get that.
Oh, but, there's so many people. And the other thing is if the whole system is flawed because bias is there. Oh, there's absolutely that out there.
Well, actually, I don't know if you've heard this, but there are
different OJ jurors that wrote books.
Yeah, but there already is a book deal with George Zimmerman's defense team, they already arranged a book deal for themselves.
Right. Well, the defense team, sure, but the jurors, I think they have to wait a number of years. But when they can give their interviews, 5 years later, aftermath stories, how many hundreds of thousands are they going to get for that TV interview?
Yeah.
And if you knew there was a sensational case, and you could potentially be on that jury, wouldn't you say what you could just be on that jury out of curiosity, partially?
I would love to be on a sensational jury, absolutely. Yeah.
Exactly. So you might angle to get on the jury and really have a bias. Because you might be biased for Trayvon, let's say, instantaneously, because you sympathize with that. I lived in these areas, I know these areas.
Yeah.
I'd rather carry something with me and potentially go to jail for a weapons violation than be dead.
Anikka, I am so glad that you are giving this different perspective, because it's like, why are we even talking about this? You know?
It happens all the time. I don't know why.
Wants us to. And in a lot of ways, that gave me some very good perspective.
Yeah.
I still judge each person as a person, but
the very legitimate story of violence from law enforcement to young black youth is sad, but at the same time, there is not necessarily that much different in this case that warrants the amount of tension that it is getting.
It'll be interesting now that this is back at this podcast.
Which, I mean, it's looking like the next case, not in the same genre, but it's looking like the next big media legal case is Dzhokhar Tsarnaev. You don't know who that is?
Oh, him, the Boston guy.
Yeah.
Oh, about Boston violence.
Yeah.
He died, honey, a long time ago.
No, what? What do you mean he died? He was in court like yesterday.
Oh, yes, okay. I didn't know he was in court. What's he in court for? What's the uncle, right?
No. The brothers were accomplices, allegedly, in the plot.
I don't know their names.
Oh, I thought the brothers did it. I haven't seen word one of it in the Associated Press.
Well, I can tell you, if you were paying attention to Fox News, it's probably one of the few things that you would see. But let's wrap up now. I want to say thank you to both of you guys. It was a wonderful panel. Sara and Anikka, thank you very much for calling in. And is there anything else that you guys want to say about any of the topics we talked about?
No.
No? Okay.
No, I'm good.
So, Sara, if people want to contact you, what should they do?
Go through you and you'll just tell me.
Okay. And Anikka, if they're interested in conversing with you further, how should they reach you?
My email is wolfyne@yahoo.com.
Okay. Great. Thank you very much for being on the panel. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Oh, yeah, Wolf. I'll set up Bluetooth in the car. Thank you. Her name's Anikka Wolf. You're drawing all over my important article. Instead, I put Laura Ingram's bloopers from her show that were released, which I find really funny. She's like, "Don't hover at me. Don't come in my ear." Is somebody hovering?
Laura
Ingram.
Oh, which one's Little House on the Prairie?
Oh, that's Laura Ingalls Wilder.
Are you recording?
Yeah. Hilarious. Okay. Wolfine should be calling at any moment. I mean, Anikka Wolf, whatever her name is. What are you doing?
Decorating Christmas.
You wrote all over my article.
This is what I do in school.
Oh my god. I can't believe every time I do one of these, I have somebody drop out 5 minutes before we record. One of my panelists dropped out because she said 5 minutes before we were recording, the Lord told her not to. God, you're making this so inoperable right now. I blew out the van speaker, so it's fine.
Not really, cause I think that I found myself cheating.
Let's listen to Guile Gimme Bun. Don't say that.
She what?
It'll be more clear.
She says it's more,
Does she have a Bluetooth in?
Yeah, she has a Bluetooth in.
Oh, just put it like near her.
So she said don't actually wear the Bluetooth?
Yeah, you might want to just hold it near
Just hold it near your face if you can?
Because it may just sound really clear.
But then I won't be able to hear.
Oh, she won't be able to hear.
Oh, I forgot. That's the Bluetooth.
How are we going to do that?
How do you know her?
Okay, stop. Okay, this is what we're going to talk about today. Everybody, Rush Limbaugh says it's okay for white people to say nigga after the Zimmerman trial. Then we're going to talk about Chris Brown.
Wait. To say what?
Who's Spencer?
I don't know.
Whatever. Remember, I saw him and met him. So.
Rush Limbaugh?